You're live.
All right. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Flutter Atlanta. Woo! Woo! And yeah, and traffic is real. We know that. All right. Well, first off, I want to go ahead and thank, Black Airplane for hosting this and having us here, and for providing pizza and stuff like that. So it's always nice if you're in the Atlanta area, and you can make it here. It's worth coming in person. And hey, all right, our audience just increased by 50%. Anyway, so thank you very much for that. And I want to thank, of course, I guess I should introduce myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle Cox. I work for a company called Ardley. So thank you, Ardley, for letting me, spend time doing stuff like this. So I appreciate that. And we're a mortgage refinance helper kind of company. And if you ever want to know more about that, I can be easily found on Twitter or on LinkedIn, wherever. And the other thing I kind of want to start off with, actually, here, grab my drink. Sorry for the camera people. I just wanted to kind of say that I've got a couple of friends that wrote a book. So I would recommend it if you want to learn about some common design patterns. I think they did a great job with it. So anyway, I wanted to hype that.
You're giving one away today.
Wow, I wish I were. Yeah, I wish I were. I had to buy mine. Actually, I didn't have to buy it. I wanted to buy it because I wanted the hard copy. I had early access to review it, but yeah, that's the benefit of being good friends with 2 of the 3 authors. So, but anyway, like I said, I'd recommend it. And all right, so we are here today to talk about. This is not like a normal talk that I've prepared and I'm ready to go. I kind of want to go through something I think is pretty darn cool. And so, and I added this last year, which was the joke I heard someone say was this wasn't Google I/O, it was Gemini I/O, for what was going on with it. So, pretty much every talk that was given had some sort of access to it. But one of the Flutter talks I went to was by Con, and it was a pretty cool little project she had done. And so I'm like, hey, can I get the source code of that? I would like to play with that some. And so I did get it, and I have been kind of going around with it. And I'll be honest, I don't know Google Cloud that well. I don't know some of the, actually, I don't know Google Cloud really at all. So it's taken me quite a bit of time to actually get stuff running. I think I've got everything working now. And that was, today when I finished that. So, but what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to go through, since I do have access to this project, and that we can, and it's out there, so I can put the link up on the screen too. And so I kind of like to go through it with you guys and see, just let's see how they did it and what it is and how they did it. I'm going to grab my glasses. I'm just not prepared. All right. So, by the way, the video you can find by searching build generative AI agents with Vertex AI, agent builder and Flutter. It was at I/O. So that's worth seeing there. Okay, let's see. So this is the app running locally on my machine, plugged up to the cloud, and it's pretty cool. So, and we're going to go through this too. One of the things I like about looking at other people's code is figure out which packages do they like, how they do it, stuff like that. So this app is not very big, and it's got some neat stuff to it. So we can choose from a library, and so it's pulling up here in my directory from some pictures I took in Copenhagen. And so let's see. Let's go ahead and click one of these pictures, and when we do that, you'll see up here it's doing a little wavy thing to let you know that, and that's Kronborg Castle. So from that picture, it actually recognized what it was, and told us a little bit about it. And it's famous because it was Hamlet's castle, I think. That's what Shakespeare did. But I've got the ability to say, tell me more. And you click on this, and it pulls up a chat with AI here. And anyway, and it actually has got some questions suggested for me. So what's the historical significance of Kronborg Castle? Are there any specific architecture features or elements that make Kronborg Castle unique? And what role did Kronborg Castle play in Shakespeare's Hamlet? So why don't we try it? And so I can click that, and it comes back, and it's just, that's not necessarily the best answer, but it's a pretty reasonable answer. They're saying it served as the inspiration for the setting of Elsinore. So, and then, we can come down here, we can type other things like that. We could say, what else can I do during a visit, maybe, right? And we put that in there, and it's thinking real quick, and it will come back. And the UI here seems to be broken to me, by the way, so that's one of the things kind of the deal is I need to put it like PR with getting out and fixing and stuff like that. And so you'll see it came back here talking about how, a pretty detailed answer to that. So, anyway, I just thought this was really cool. To be able to do that. I'm a photographer, and so I thought that was really neat. And this one is good because it's very it's very specific. It can get good answers from Wikipedia, to do stuff like that. If I were to put up a different picture from there, let's say, I don't know, like maybe like this one. Pull this up, and it's coming in here, and it's talking about a star flyer, and it talks about it. But here's Emmett and I were talking before this all started, that as good as it is, it's got some pretty big gaps still to be useful. And once again, I didn't build the AI part of this. I need to learn more about that. But so I'm using the AI just as they gave it to me. But like if I say, tell me more on this, I can say, like, what is the history of Starflyer rights, right? And when I do that, he goes and tries to go back and look that up for Starflyer there, and it comes back with Starflyer is a cruise ship. So it's not a ride. What are you talking about? And we say Starflyer in Denmark, let's say, right? Because that's where I did the picture. And it says there is one. So I mean, you come back with stuff like that, it gets kind of weird. And when I was playing with this a little bit before, it was also going things like, okay, but really, Wikipedia tells me that Starflyer is a ship, and so again, we're still a little bit bleeding edge, but I still think this is way cool. And right now it's hooked up on using the Gemini Pro, I guess. So I've not tried hooking it to like Flash or something like that with a free tier and stuff like that, because I'm using my credits, with Google Cloud. So anyway, so this is what got my attention. Okay, and so I figured, well, let's see how we do this. Okay, and let's see. I had it there. All right, so I didn't make any kind of a link for this, but if you look up the Gemini sample apps, this is called Photo Discovery. That's what it's called. It's in the sample apps for generative AI, Gemini. There are Google. So when I've needed to find it because I've lost the link, I just Googled Photo Discovery sample app. All right, so this talks about how we go about setting it up. It's it can identify stuff from the Google Merchandise Store. I don't know if I've got that working wrong or if I just don't have the right picture to show it. So I may still not have it all right. But this was another thing that she had demonstrated. And again, if you think this looks as cool as I do, feel free to watch her video. It's actually very good. But we're going to talk about how we actually can do this. And I've been making some changes to it, and like the UI, I think needs a little bit of help in places. So I'm going to try to do that. Like I said, I'll get a PR back for her. So hopefully next time you look at it, I'll have some changes in here too. But this talks about how we go about creating. To do this, you have to create an app under Google Run. You have to create a data store. You have to hook those up, and then you come down here and you're going to deploy the Vertex AI agent builder. That's a Jupyter notebook. It was a pain for me. There's two things that happened with it. One was with the code as it is now. When I would go to run it, I would get like some sort of version error, and I'm not exactly sure why. So I went and removed the versions from the notebook when it was creating it, and ran it again, and I noticed I might have gone to the next step too early also. So yeah, when you're running the notebook stuff, down at the bottom it tells you whether it's when it's idle, when it's busy, things like that. So make sure it finishes the steps it's doing before you go to the next step. And once I got there, the instructions were, these are instructions that I think are very good in hindsight. They were not good for me to necessarily figure out what I'm doing, which again, I'm going to try to see how much of that is me not knowing anything about cloud, and see if there's places I can maybe help that out a little bit also for them, because like I said, I think it's a really cool project. So, all right, so we go through all that. The Flutter setup's nothing. I mean, it's easy. And we just tie our Firebase, create a Firebase app and tie it to it. So that's also, that stuff's all pretty much straightforward, how we do it. And anyway, and then, this talks a little bit about what it's using. So it's using the Vertex AI agent builder. Like I said, that's done in a Jupyter notebook, which I'd only heard about before. I'd never actually done anything with it. So that could probably be a talk on its own, and I'm not sure it's a Flutter talk. So, but it obviously uses Flutter. It's using Cloud Run to create the search engine agent thing, and then the Vertex AI, which is what we're using to go talk to it. So that's pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the app. So it's not a very big app, and is that font size big enough, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right, good. Okay. All right. So we can start, where route starts. Up here in the main, if we look at it, it's very straightforward. It's it's got the router is very simple too. It's actually, you've got a choice between the chat side, which is where we've got the quick ID in the chat, or settings. And all the settings is, by the way, is just it's just dark mode, light mode. And like actually, like I said, I always like to see how other people do it. We don't need much state, but there is a little bit of state here that we could deal with. So let's see how they're doing state management here. Just got a simple change notifier going here. And so the state is really actually just those 3 questions. So when we get back to the answer about the picture, it's actually, I'll show you where it's making the prompt for that. It's actually getting back 3 questions at the same time as part of the metadata. And so because of that, it's able to, it has those in mind. So when you get, tell me more, we actually have access to those questions at that point. It's not getting them in, it got it, the first problem. So that's pretty much the state. And so it's really just, clearing it up and updating it, everything else going on. The theme is very similar. Just to let you know that we changed from dark mode to light mode. So, and I mean, I know Randall's on here, she could have used RiverPod, but it's, once again, we use the right thing for the right tool for the job. So I'm good friends with Randall Freeman, just watching this. I feel like I can do that. All right, so let's take a look at what Quick ID does. So this is the part that is going to actually do the, it's actually going to do the part where we go and ask what the picture is, okay? And again, I think we'll come back and look at this in a second, the image, just because, like I said, I like to see how other people do things. And this is a package that at least somewhat works on all the platforms. So that's kind of worth seeing. But all right, so when we build it, if we don't have a null, if we don't have an image, then we're going to show the photo selection screen. And otherwise, this is expanded is actually just adaptive layout, which is interesting because yesterday on Matt Carroll's Flutter Spaces on Twitter, we had or X, we talked about actually the new library that just came out for adaptive layouts, and when you want to use that versus something simple like this. Again, if it's really simple, then why not do it this way? And if we take a look, you'll see this is expanded as about as simple as it could be. It's a media query.sizeof. And again, just as a quick little, safety tip or good hygiene tip or whatever, don't do a media query.of like you would see in everything we saw, a few years back. If you're looking at, if you're ever looking at how to do something, make sure it's reasonably recent. But now, if you do size up, it's only going to get notified if it's the size of, not if it's anything to do with media query. But really, it's just as easy. Like, big enough to want to do this or not? Pretty easy. All right, so, all right, and then if we come down here, this is also a little bit different than I would lay it out. But so we're on an expanded screen there, and so if we look at it, real easy. It's just if we're showing the chat, then we're gonna turn that on or off. But if you take a look, it's just set there with a row with the image and the box that will tell you what we've learned, with the metadata. And then we've got the remove button that we had there, and we've got the tell me more button. So, and if you say tell me more, it pops up that chat window. So this is a very straightforward layout, but that's not why we're here. I think we all know how to build that layout. Like I said, I think it's interesting to look at how other people do things. But if we come back here and we take a look at what happens with the Vertex. Okay, so this is the send Vertex message. This is the secret sauce. If we've got everything else plugged in, follow those instructions. I don't really understand. But if you've got, so basically you've got something, up in the cloud that you can query, make a generative AI query on, then we're good here. So if we take a look here, standard stuff of not letting you mash the button a bunch of times. But we're creating a content with so here's the prompt it's using for everything we send up on that. It's saying, what is the subject in this photo? Provide the name of the photo subject and description as specific as possible, and 3 suggested questions that I can ask for more information about this object, and then answer in JSON format with the keys name, description, and suggested questions. So that's really cool. So it just asks the AI that, or and it gets back an answer, and then so the generated content is the actual call to go do that after it's got the message, and then we come down here and we get the JSON map here, and we update the metadata from that. Okay, so this is, and by the way, I just as a little, if you know me for very long, I've got kind of a weird sense of humor. So different things I find humorous. I find it really humorous that you're reading the object, so you tell it to update. And by the way, what that's doing for anybody that doesn't know is it's telling you give me the object, but don't cause it to notify me if it changes. That's really what read means there. But I just, when I'm looking at that kind of code, I find it humorous. And if we take a look at this update metadata, this is one thing that's kind of cool. I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do the metadata from JSON. I'm sorry. It's actually just using a pattern. Now I would be careful doing it this way, because this would break if I didn't have those 3. But
I have a whole talk on this.
Yeah,
Just this dynamic schema.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And once again, the macros are going to make this even go away, make it even easier from that, which will be cool. So anyway, so if we go back and take a look at what we're doing here, we are so they select a picture. We take a prompt that we've written once. We know it's a picture, so we don't need to rewrite this prompt. Take a prompt we've written once, and then we go ahead and send it off for it, and then we get it back. We read the results, and then we update our UI based upon those results. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty simple. I really like how easy it is to play with this and to get going. Again, I personally would like to know more about how to create a better agent, but
It actually gets really hard to detect error states. So as your prompt gets more and more complex, the chances for an error state goes up. And then you start breaking the JSON, all kinds of stuff. It goes sideways.
yeah, like I said, if I were doing this for an actual project I were doing,
Yeah.
there's not a chance I would decode my JSON like that. Everything would be nullable. I can handle things if they go wrong. I can maybe give people some of the data. I would add try catches around everything. There's one around that, but there's several other places where there's not try catches. I'd make sure that, I don't want my app to break. But once again, this is a demo app. But no, I agree with that. And so you got to be careful with those kinds of things. All right, so this is where we, if we go back over here, this is where we chose from a library, we picked something up, and I say, and this is just waiting for it to pop up in the box. Okay. But the next thing we could do is we could hit tell me more. And again, remember it said, give me 3 questions, right? So this is talking. So this is saying it's an arcade. Is what they call this, and they're over here. Okay. And so, what is the historical significance of arcades in architecture? What are some notable examples of arcades around the world? And how do arcades contribute to the ambience and functionality of public spaces? Those are pretty good questions. So it's doing a pretty good job. And I mean, how else is it going to know what kind of, where this is in the world? So that's actually a pretty good answer. And again, we could pick one of these if we want. And, it's going to come back with that. And again, another thing I do find interesting is the fact that, if you see from those questions, it has no clue if it can tell you the answer to the questions or not. So it's creating good questions based on what people might ask, but it's not creating them with any kind of foreknowledge as to what an answer might be. So that's, again, I think an area we could probably do better. And it's giving me something.
A lot. Yeah, I call it the I'm sorry, Dave. Yeah.
Okay, and another thing is that if we take a look at what was set up in there, which, it had a temperature of 0. It wants we want it to tell us what it knows, not hallucinate.
Yeah.
And so there definitely are settings we could play with.
Yeah, and I wonder if it might try to identify the placeholder before if it was allowed to do it when created.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also, I think in this case, it's strictly using Wikipedia. So if there's an image of something like that around there. I mean, like the Starflyer. I had, it said something about Starflyers or whatever, and I'd asked it, or Swimride or whatever. I said, I asked if there were any of them in Denmark, and it told me there was one in Tivoli Gardens. It told me a little bit about it. So I mean, overall, I've been impressed with what it can do, but it's not anything I would put in a production app yet.
What is did they set up a tool to reach out to the Wikipedia API? I didn't see that in there.
That's got to be in the model, and
Okay.
we can take a look at what they did with that. It uploaded 204 models, or 204 files when I created the cloud run app, and I unfortunately I didn't get the chance to really dig in to learn exactly what I was doing. I was hoping I could have.
What impressed me most about the Gemini SDK was it made it very easy to write those tools. So you pretty much say this is an API endpoint. Let's just say it's query Wikipedia, and then you have to write in plain text describing what the tool does, and then set up some parameters on this is what you need to give it.
Yeah.
And then it's just up to the model to determine if it should use the tool or not, which that's also risky, hooking up API endpoints. But it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, here is the cloud app that we've got, and yes, I know there are values in here you should not be seeing, but I'm deleting it more time here, so I'm not that worried about it. I've got a limit on there, so I'd appreciate it if people don't go bang on this, but if you did, it's not going to do you much good, But anyways, this was what they gave us for it. So we're setting up here to get the reasoning engine. The reasoning engine was what's created from the Jupyter notebook. And then down here is where this discovery engine is where I think it was doing the stuff with, I believe this is where it was doing the stuff with Wikipedia. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, I don't see where it mentions it exactly. I know I saw it somewhere. So it may be in what gets uploaded when we do that. As part of the files, it was uploading the kind of training. And it spent a lot of effort on the dyno from Chrome. And I pulled up a picture for that here, and it's like, looks like the dyno from Chrome. I'm like, we're gonna buy it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think I took the image straight off of the site. So I clearly have something that's not quite right.
Yeah.
Because when Con ran this, she could actually take a picture. She took a picture of like a keychain, and it would pull up how much it was in the Google swag store.
That tech is pretty cool. Imagine going to Walmart and price checking something just with the Walmart app by showing it a picture. I mean, the ideas that you could implement with that, pretty cool.
Well, I mean, we've got it in Lens. Google Lens
Yeah.
has that now. I mean, I use that all the time. Or, I like something here. Let me take a picture of it real quick, and I'll put it in Lens, and for shopping, it'll pop up and somewhere I can go buy it usually.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty good at it. So clearly we have the capability. Another thing that's probably worth mentioning, but in this Ask Gemini, let's see, Ask GMS. One of these is where it's two different things here. And we're gonna go back to the chat part in just a second. So I want to show how we did that also. But yeah, I clearly have stuff there. I mean, this is all running on Gemini. You have to run this stuff, you have to actually have billing turned on, things like that. So again, it's it's Google Cloud. So if you're just signing up, you'll get a lot of credits. They'll do you just fine for now. But I don't know. For me, making an app I could put out there that might incur charges, I'd start worrying about that a little bit myself. So I think this is amazing tech, and I think it's worth knowing. And I think there's a lot of use cases for it. I don't pretend that I really know them yet. Like I said, this was just what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to share something I thought was really cool. And like I think most of us geeks, it was cool to see it. It's even cooler to be able to run it yourself. So being able to set this up, worked pretty well for that. All right, so if we go down to this chat, okay, and we come down here, it's and then just little things like, and I think it's related to what I've been seeing with people having issues with like thumbnails from YouTube and stuff like that. If I run this on the web, it cannot pull down this image, and it pulls it down just fine running it on a Mac app. So it's things that was when I didn't have the Gemini stuff running right, didn't care about this. I could have faked it. I could have made it a local asset if I needed to, for purposes of this showing it. But anyway, and like I said, Con, she rolled her eyes when I said I was going to leave it named Con. And I had her picture that I know, so I was going to leave all of it like that. And she's like, "Yeah, don't." So anyway, so she changed it to the bunny image, but so I figure if it's an image of a rabbit, I'll just call it bunny. But all right, so when we come down here, if you hit the send button, okay, let's take a look at what it does. We're doing a couple of things here. So we are so the add message is adding it to the send message to agent. So let's take a look at so it's doing let's chase it in the right order. So send message to agent. It's going to call this ask agent that I was at right there, and it's giving it and then it's taking the answer and it's putting it back up. It's adding it back up here once it gets in. The loading, there's loading in both places, because this is probably something that's a useful tip if you are going to put AI in there. people would like to know that it's at least thinking. And so like on the, like when we loaded the picture, it had like a little wavy look to let you know that it was actually doing something. This is supposed to actually have the, like, you know, funniest typing. Although I think it, like I said, the UI's hiding some stuff, so I'm going to try to fix that and get a PR for it. But anyway, so and so it is all right. So it's calling Ask Agent, and so the query has the name and the description, which I got back from, you know, so it's giving it some context for that. And then it's got the question you typed. And it's called, and so it's actually hitting that the Cloud Run host, which is the part that needed the reasoning ideas. The Python script that I showed, or I think it's whatever, that I showed, you know, that had the secret data in it, stuff. Yeah, it's a Python script. This is what set that up to be able to do that. So anyway, so it's just calling out with Ask Gemini and giving it the query. Gets a response back, decodes it, and now we don't even need to be JSON because it's just a string that comes back. And so again, you know, and we saw it's clearly not perfect, but for context, it's just remembering the name, to remember the description, and then it's got the question, and so it's asking that. And like as an example, I used it. I pulled up a picture I'd taken a couple months ago in Cleveland, and you know, so I'm like, well, let's just try out this typing stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, tell me about Chicago. And I'm like, well, how far is Chicago from Cleveland? And it couldn't tell me that, which I thought was interesting. That's a very easy thing to know, which once again is a model and a model training thing, and where it's getting the data from. But it gives us an idea that we do need to have a clue as to what kinds of questions, because training models can be expensive, you know, or letting it do too much or whatever, thing like that. So we definitely need to. So if you're doing this, you also want to have a clue as to what kinds of questions, you know, we expect to receive.
One other thing to keep in mind here, saying that we know it's just going to be text is true. I've noticed that depending on the prompt, you might like randomly get back Markdown or randomly get back HTML without specifically asking.
And that's it. This is where you request HTML or JSON, and then you get Markdown.
Yeah.
Like you can specifically say one thing, and it just ignores it.
Yeah. So just on the UI side, you have to take into account like this could want to be displaying with bullet points or a grid that's going to be set up in Markdown. Do you support that? Do you add stuff to your prompts to specifically say plain text? Like,
Yeah.
The other thing to monitor is as you do this and like you've got this session running, essentially the context will start to degrade because there's so many competing questions if you're really in the same context. And so you have to know, like with your API interaction, like, am I staying in the same context with repeated sessions or am I resetting context?
Right.
Because you can get to this point where there's so much competing context that it just gets.
Well, I'm pretty sure here, this is
Probably
not, this was not maintaining a context.
Yeah.
So every time it's asking you, the context is the photo is name of the photo or what you're turned back from it, and the description. Yeah. So this is not, this is super simple that way. This is not trying to be a real iterative kind of thing. Which I did find interesting because I asked it some questions that were like follow-on questions, and it did a relatively good job on it. You know, so I was, you know, thinking about that. So anyway, so this is using two different ways to ask Gemini questions. One was of the photo, and this one is asking that agent. You still have time to go through a couple more things, or
So one of the things, you saw that series of questions and then you started getting like bad answers. That's because you're not actually popping the earlier context back in.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like each of those cycles is new, right? And so
Exactly.
your context is only the prompt.
Yeah.
I would suspect.
Yeah.
And so like
Agreed.
you don't even have the knowledge that you gained from the previous, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, absolutely. And once again, these are areas where for a serious app, we work on.
No, just release it.
It's not my app. I mean, that's the thing is I really want to take it, and because like I said, to me, I was just flabbergasted, you know, with the being able to, on my phone or whatever to say, here's a picture, tell me about it. And it goes and it figures stuff out. I mean, and it'll do it. Here, I'll show you, here, let's remove that. And, I mean, it does kind of a fun job with certain other things. So choose from library. Let me go to, from just FlutterCon recently. And I can pull up a picture of me giving my talk, right? And I mean, what's it going to say about this, right? And that's the other thing is when it doesn't find a good answer, it takes longer. So it just says it's a woman, and it's a woman with blue hair is speaking into a microphone. This is like a 5-year-old describing. She's wearing glasses and a blue floral dress. She's standing behind a clear podium. I mean, this is like
It's
which is
an object action.
yeah, which is actually, I mean, okay, it's not useful at all. It's really cool because I mean, it did a really. I mean, that's a. I mean, how else are you gonna describe something like this? And once again, tell me more. It's like what's the woman's name? And sorry, I don't know. There's no context for it. So anyway, so this is just it's a neat way to get started. And again, the project's what's cool about this is the project does contain the instructions on getting the Google Cloud stuff going, so you can start playing with it in your Flutter program. And that's the thing I like about it. And then the sky's the limit for figuring out how to improve. Figure out how to do stuff like that. And is that should I wrap up or should I keep going?
Yeah, I think if you guys have any more questions.
Okay.
Cool.
Great job. The other thing that's cool about it, just kind of as a little bit of a hype. One of the other things I like to do is I like to take a look at like what packages they're using and stuff like that. So we looked at state. She's not using a package for state, right? She's just using it simple because it's simple, right? She's not using a package for the adaptive layout because it's simple. But she is using a package for the chat stuff, and showing the wavy part and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty neat. And so, if you're ever looking at someone else's code like this, go ahead and take a look at how they're doing, and see what package they are using for something, and see if you think that's a, from your own experience, is that a good use of the package? Is it a package you could use maybe something like that? Because it's a nice way to almost for free learn about more stuff out there, while you're looking at something else that you care about. And so, yeah, I mean, this is like an introduction then to how to actually use that to talk to things like that. So,
Great job.
sure I have any questions, but are there any questions out there? If I've got any answers, but are there any questions out there?
Randall had to hop to another meeting, so no questions there, and Steven is here now, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Next
Cool.
meetup is Mike.
Mike on the career progression.
Yeah.
Career
Nice. And what day is it?
It's the second Thursday of next month. I don't know exactly
Okay.
what date that is, but
Yeah, all right. So second Thursday of next month, which I think is going to be it'll be the 13th or 14th? 14th, yeah, 14th, yeah. So on the 14th, there's there'll be a meetup here on career progression. And if you can come, please come. And if you can't come, please watch online. If you can't watch live,
Come early too.
Yeah, come
If
early.
you want to beat traffic,
exactly.
you can work from here. Or
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Really accommodate.
Yeah, you can work in the conference room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's gonna be there. It's gonna be on career progression,
Yep.
and it'll be a great talk. So if you can be here live, be here live. If you can't, you can watch live. Watch live. If you can't, it's gonna be on YouTube. And if anybody's actually in the Atlanta area for stuff that's not going to be published, I'm going to probably do part 2 of this talk for at a GDG Atlanta Flutter meetup. So
Give them a shout out. Where can you find them online?
I don't know. It's GDG. Just look up GDG Atlanta. That should be enough. Yeah, Google that. I mean, it's a GDG. So if Google doesn't find them, then we got a problem. So yeah, and I'll be, probably giving part 2 of this, maybe a little bit more information, but you guys heard it here first. So,
awesome.
all right, I think
Yeah.
that's it.
Perfect.
All right,
We're done. We're
Wow.
offline.
cool.
Great job.
You know?
Thanks.
Great.